Hey guys, and welcome back! Today I want to go over 7 important aspects that still need some tweaking or improvements in Battlefield 2042, because it's been quite a while since I've done a video like this, and with a little break between Season 5 and 6, I thought it's the perfect time for another one, especially since my wishlist has recently filled up again. First on the list is a much needed resupply buff for engineers, cause whenever I play as an engineer and try to take care of enemy vehicles, I quickly find myself out of explosives without any chance for a resupply. Sure, you can request it and even run around support players and poke them, but they rarely drop ammo crates, not to mention calling in a supply drop. In every match, so many players use the specialist angel, and yet I barely see anyone calling in the drop. At the moment it's easier to find the ammo room than one of these boxes. This can make using the engineer class and effectively caring about air and ground vehicles very frustrating, so I think there should be more options added for engineers to resupply themselves. Maybe something like the resupply stations in Battlefield 5, where you can simply get your ammo without the need of relying on another player, or the ability to grab ammo from a support player's backpack that we also had in Battlefield 5 and that still somewhat supports team play. I mean, you still need another human being and not only a soulless crate. But right now, playing as engineer feels like the most ungrateful job, and that's mostly because of the missing resupplies. So I would really love to see a solution here. Next up is a feature I've been waiting for 2 years now, and that I had mentioned in every previous feedback video, and that I will keep on asking for because I think it's really important. And that's an icon showing the remaining health of a vehicle in the spawn screen. We had this in Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, and it made spawning into vehicles so much safer. Now it's like gambling, and you never know if the vehicle you select is about to blow up or if it's safe to deploy. We had an attempt a few updates ago where a warning was added that was supposed to show up for vehicles below 25% health, but I personally only saw it maybe 3 times right after the update and never again. I even tested it out with a friend and there was nothing, no warning at all. Instead, you can keep on spawning right into death without knowing. That's very annoying, and I'm wondering why they always have to reinvent the wheel instead of just bringing back what worked and what was helpful. Besides this, the spawn system itself seems out of control as well, because there are very persistent issues with bad spawns where you frequently deploy in line of sight of the enemy or directly into their gunfire. It happens in almost every game now, but is especially noticeable in more open modes like Conquest and Control. Sometimes you spawn several times in a row at the same location with non-stop flight back to the spawn screen until the system finds that you were tortured enough and that it's time for you to deploy somewhere else. It also feels like this got worse over the last few months and even starts to happen more frequently on Breakthrough or Rush. And while I do understand that the chaos on the battlefield and the unforeseen movement of players can make safe spawns challenging, improvements to this system are needed to reduce the number of frustrating encounters. And as part of improving the spawn system, it would be fantastic if players could spawn on squad mates who are on a parachute. This feature existed in previous titles as well and allowed players to simply spawn at a parachute themselves in this case. Its removal in Battlefield 2042 remains a mystery to me, but it's a simple quality of life improvement that should return. It might not be possible for players using the wingsuit, but for parachuting players, the squad mates could simply spawn on a parachute as well. I mean, if players can spawn outside of a vehicle, why not on a parachuting squad mate? Moving on to the next point, we also desperately need a server browser for all-out war. I know it's been already stated they don't plan on bringing something, but it's essential when live service ends and player numbers drop even further. Right now, finding a match can already take some time, mostly due to the Redux event and a lower player count, and with the additional playlists and event modes, the players split even more, especially when you want to play during the day and not in the evenings. I just recently spent half an hour trying to find a full lobby because I frequently ended up on servers with 5 people waiting for a match to start. And I'm someone living in a region with a lot of active players. I can't even imagine how people play the game in less active regions. Adding a server browser similar to Portal would allow players to check which servers are filled or filling up and how many servers are running for a certain mode. Or a more simple solution, just add a small number to each playlist that shows how many servers are running for it. Or show the number of players in queue for this mode to make it easier to identify if there will be a full match available soon or not. In addition, a map rotation would be greatly appreciated, similar to Portal, because right now it's impossible to play a certain map since you never know what you will get. This makes it feel like there are only 3 maps available in the game, or sometimes even only 1 map when you play the same map over and over again. Just 2 days ago I played Conquest on Kaleidoscope 3 times in a row, something that would be solved with a rotation. So I really hope they reconsider bringing these 2 features to the game, because it would be a huge improvement for the player base. I mean, they also said they don't bring a kick feature to the squad management, and yet we got it. So maybe there's still hope for server browser and a rotation. Now let's shift the focus a little bit to another feature I'd like to see, and that's separate options for the control sensitivity of Liz Missile, Casper's drone and Crawford's mounted Vulcan. Currently their sensitivity is tied to the vehicle aim sensitivity, making it challenging to find a comfortable setting for all of them, especially on consoles or with controllers. On PC it's not that big of a problem, but with controller it can be a struggle. So adding individual sensitivity sliders for these specialist gadgets and untie them from the vehicles would offer players more customization options and improved controls. I mean, we have 2 sliders to set the intensity of the visual and sound effects that get triggered by Saint's trait, but not a single one for the sensitivity of controllable gadgets. And especially for Liz TV Missile, this would be a massive improvement. And lastly, there's something I'd like to see reverted, and that's the scope glint on 4 and 5 times optics like the Raven and PSO. I can't remember exactly when it was changed, but I believe it was with the start of Season 5. However, before that only 6 times and higher had scope glint, and I always found that this was enough and still made sense, because it was simply a counter to their long range advantage. But now all optics with 4 times and higher produce scope glint, which isn't a reasonable counter anymore, because 4 and 5 times was already a compromise for snipers since they were able to avoid the scope glint, but on the cost of magnification. And I always felt that this was enough of a drawback and there was no additional one needed. Besides this, the new system comes with massive confusion, because not all 4 or 5 times scopes are affected. The Ghost Hybrid and Target AT don't have a glint, even though their maximum zoom is at 4 and 4.5 times respectively. This is most likely the case because they are hybrid scopes and you can switch them to only 1.5 times or an iron sight, and having scope glint on these would be ridiculous. But it also makes the whole mechanic very inconsistent. How do you justify that players with a Raven 4 times give away their position, while players with a Ghost Hybrid and the same amount of zoom can stay stealthy? It doesn't make any sense. It is not well thought out and causes more confusion than it is helpful. So this change should be reverted, and scope glint should only affect 6 times and higher optics as it previously was. Additionally, all of these optics should have an indicator in their description that they produce scope glint, because at the laser sights you can read that they are detectable, so why not add something similar to the optics? And that's it for today. That wraps up the list of 7 things that still need to change in Battlefield 2042 in my opinion. But what do you think? Are there any other improvements you'd like to see? Do you agree with me or not? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Until then, thanks for watching, and thanks to my members for the additional support. I'm the Catwoman, and you are awesome.